Good afternoon. Welcome to today's press conference. Questions, please. The Foreign Secretary of the Philippines issued a video statement on June the 8th on the 45th anniversary of China-Philippines diplomatic relations, saying that under the leadership of President Duterte, this old friendship has flourished and the two sides are mutually beneficial partners. Even in differences, China has raised 800 million people out of poverty. That is undeniable. Also, he said that Hong Kong issues are China's internal affairs and opposed foreign interference. What's your reaction and what's your evaluation of this relationship? Today marks the 45th anniversary of China-Philippines diplomatic relations. As Foreign Secretary Lak Zeng said, this friendship is old. It has covered a long period of time. During the past 45 years, under the successive leadership and with the efforts of the two peoples, this relationship has moved forward, especially in the under the guidance of President Xi Jinping and President Duterte. Building on the momentum of the Belt and Road Initiative, the two sides enhanced strategic coordination and achieved fruitful results in cooperation. After COVID-19 broke out, the two sides stood together with mutual assistance, writing a new chapter of this traditional friendship and enriching this comprehensive strategic cooperation. China stands ready to work with the Philippines on this new starting point to implement the leaders' consensus and enhance political mutual trust, deepen cooperation, and contribute to people's welfare and regional prosperity. As Foreign Secretary Lak Zeng said that Hong Kong affairs are China's internal affairs. No foreign interference will be allowed. We appreciate that and believe that speaks for the voice of reason and justice in the world. Next question, please. We noticed that recently U.S. media like Capitol Hill and New York Times and UK's Guardian revealed journalists being attacked and arrested in the US protests. From May the 26th to June the 2nd, 148 journalists were involved. 40 were shot at, 34 were assaulted by police, and 33 were arrested or detained. That includes journalists from AP, Fox, and NBC, etc. A photographer was shot in the left eye by a rubber bullet, possibly causing permanent loss of sight. U.S. officials always use press freedom to accuse China. What's your comment to this? I also noticed these recent reports, and I think people have similar questions. If this were to happen in China, Russia, or any other country, the U.S. politicians and media, what do you think they will do? How will they report on this? China is always committed to facilitating foreign reporters' work and life in China. We hope the U.S. will also abandon its double standards on the issue of the press. The Singapore Civil Aviation Authority released information that the two countries launched a fast lane to facilitate essential travels. And can you give us more details and which other countries will discuss similar arrangements? China and Singapore are important cooperation partners. Since COVID-19 broke out, the two countries have conducted close cooperation and supported each other. After 2 months of preparation, the two sides officially launched a fast lane yesterday to facilitate essential travel of business and official purposes. This is an important step to resume production and work while fighting the virus on an ongoing basis. It is also the first fast-lane arrangement with the Southeast Asian country. It will help contribute to the stability of regional and global industrial supply chains. We know 6 Chinese provinces and municipalities were covered in the Phase 1 arrangement, and the scope will be expanded gradually, and commercial flights will also be resumed gradually. Besides the fast lane arrangements between China and Singapore, one is also in operation between China and the ROK, and one with Germany has also opened to the welcome of business sectors. 2 charter flights from Germany arrived in Tianjin and Shanghai respectively on May the 30th and June the 4th. There will be more such arrangements. I understand some European countries are also communicating with China on such arrangements. China has been actively taking similar measures to ensure that people who are on essential travel can come to China, and while ensuring safety and fighting the virus, we will gradually resume personnel exchange to help ensure the stability and the smooth operation of production and supply chains. The DPRK has announced to cut off all liaison lines with the ROK. What's your comment? The DPRK and the ROK are of the same ethnic roots. Their relationship is an important factor affecting the situation on the Korean Peninsula. As a close neighbor, China always hopes and supports the 2 sides in improving relations and promoting reconciliation and cooperation through dialogue and consultation. On June the 6th, Navarros had an article published on Fox News attacking China with COVID-19 and saying that China used this virus to seize strategic interests. What's your comment? We all know what kind of person Mr. Navarro is. His lies have all been exposed in front of facts. China's sacrifice and progress in fighting COVID-19 has been witnessed by all. While fighting the virus at home, we also helped other countries. That is well recognized. We hope Mr. Navarro to stop shifting the blame. Otherwise, he will only humiliate himself further, and people can see what a habitual liar he is. We suggest he read carefully the white paper, Fighting COVID-19 China in Action, and the earlier document on reality check of US allegations against China on COVID-19. A Harvard team released a paper from satellite images from Wuhan. They concluded that the virus was spreading in August in Wuhan. What's your response to that? I have not seen the research you mentioned, but if a conclusion is drawn based on things like traffic volumes and some other superficial observations, it won't be a sound conclusion. I remember similar reports based on traffic volume and concluding that the virus came from the Wuhan Virology Institute, but that has been proven to be false because think tanks, actually the Daily Beast in the US, listed facts and proved those allegations to be false and groundless. So I believe we must respect science. We can't use groundless reports to arrive at a certain conclusion, because you see online there are a lot of reports. Last autumn in the US, there's e-cigarettes and the flu season. In the US, some people say some of those cases were actually COVID-19 cases. So there are all those sayings, but still we must rely on science and reach our conclusion in a science-based manner. So one common position is that we must all fight disinformation and stand together to defeat the virus at an early date.美国总统军控事务特使说，美俄已经就核军控谈判的时间地点达成一致，并邀请了中国。请问中方是否收到了正式的邀请？是否会参加这种谈判？ On this issue, China has repeatedly stated its position. We have no intention to participate in the so-called trilateral arms control negotiation with the US and Russia. That's consistent and clear. We note that on the issue of New START extension, the US keeps dragging China into this issue. It is a usual ploy it uses to shift the responsibility to other countries. In the past couple of years, the US has withdrawn from past commitments like the JCPOA, the INF, the Arms Trade Treaty, and Open Skies Treaty, and now it is discussing possibility of resuming nuclear tests. Official from such a country is talking about negotiate in good faith. How absurd is that? China always maintained that tracing the virus of COVID-19 must be conducted by professionals. Just now I mentioned a Harvard team that is the top team in the world. So I wonder if you are questioning their research, or do you need to get more information? You said Harvard Medical School is a leading group in the world, and I said that we need to rely on scientists and professionals. There are many world-leading groups whose views should be emphasized. I'm not an expert in the medical field, but you mentioned the conclusion was based on traffic volume and things like that, but I do think that is not very sound. So for example, if we are holding this event here and some people are saying there's a greater traffic volume outside, so how can you come to the conclusion whether there's a greater number of people inside? So I'm just wondering if such an approach of reaching a conclusion is a good way. In the world, there are many leading scientists and science journals. They have also published views, and we need to attach importance to their views as well. As a matter of fact, on the origin of the virus, there have been a lot of conspiracy theories against China. That is very unfair. We believe at the moment the pressing task is to stand together and enhance coordination to contain the spread of the virus and save lives. Someday, I'm sure the truth will be out. And China deserves a fair, objective evaluation. Our sacrifice and contribution to the world deserves that. That, I believe, is also why the State Council Information Office released the white paper on China's action in fighting the COVID-19. There's a lot of information in there. I believe CNN and US institutions can get a lot of information from reading that white paper. A political website reported that Australia Institute analyzed over 2 million tweets and 25 million retweets over 10 days from late March and found that more than 5,000 Twitter accounts retweeted nearly 7,000 times coronavirus-related information in a coordinated manner, promoting the same conspiracy theory that China created the virus as a bioweapon. Many accounts had the hallmarks of so-called bots or accounts that were remotely controlled. The UN has pointed out that in the 5 ways to fight the infodemic of misinformation, that unreliable information is hurting the global effort to defeat COVID-19. By dispelling rumors, fake news, and messages of hate and division, the UN is working to spread accurate information and messages of hope and solidarity. What's your comment? Recently, indeed, there has been a lot of disinformation and information targeting China with COVID-19, poisoning international efforts. What is worse than the virus is slandering and smearing efforts. These are also common enemies of the world. The international community should stand together and fight this disinformation and disinfect cyberspace so that the rumors, slanders, and other political viruses and their spreaders can find no place to hide. NHK, Foreign Minister Wang held a phone call with Foreign Secretary Raab of the UK. The UK said that the Hong Kong national security legislation harms people's freedom in Hong Kong. Could you talk about that phone call? State Councillor Wang held a telephone conversation with Foreign Secretary Raab. We've already released information on that. State Councillor Wang stated China's position very clearly. He said that Hong Kong affairs are purely China's internal affairs that allows no foreign interference. National security in Hong Kong is a core interest matter of China's, and national security legislation is a central government power. The Hong Kong SAR has the right to independently make national security legislation, but that doesn't change the fact that the central government has the power to come up with national security legislation for the SAR. This loophole in Hong Kong has to be addressed, so the NPC's decision is essential. The central government implements the one country, two systems. Hong Kong people governing Hong Kong with a high degree of autonomy. That is a solemn commitment to one country, two systems. The groundless accusation that the national security legislation will change the one country, two systems, that we will never accept. The legislation only targets activities that sabotage national security in Hong Kong. It will not affect people's rights and freedoms and will only ensure their rights and freedoms. Hong Kong system will remain unchanged and its autonomy will not be affected and people's way of life will not be changed. It will only make the legal system more sound and improve the business environment in Hong Kong. This legislation is a litmus test. If people support the stability and prosperity of this Hong Kong SAR, they should support this instead of opposing that. These are some basic points made by State Councillor Wang. You mentioned freedom in Hong Kong. Yesterday, I already talked about that in the press conference here. The UK side is concerned about freedom in Hong Kong. We may look back during the 156-year-long colonial rule, what freedom that the British rulers gave to the Hong Kong people, what democracy of the 28 governors, which one was elected by the Hong Kong people. Back then, the British rulers gave Hong Kong residents the freedom to take to the street to demonstrate. Also, during the colonial rule, the Treason Act of the UK applied to Hong Kong. Hong Kong is an SAR of China's, so through legislation, we are upholding national security. Why is there any issue with that? The UK should seize the situation and be prudent with its words and deeds. Turn on your mic, please. The 2020 Canton Fair will be held online. Could you talk more about that? Thank you for your interest in the Canton Fair. Actually, it's not within the scope of work at the Foreign Ministry. It should be asked for with the Ministry of Commerce. But we know with COVID-19, this Canton Fair cannot be held as usual, so it will be an online event. The Import-Export Fair, also known as the Canton Fair, will be held online from June the 15th to 24th. It's a 10-day event. By holding it online, we are addressing the COVID-19 influence, and the event will help stabilize foreign trade and foreign investments and help businesses get orders and secure markets. And the Commerce Ministry will attach equal importance to import and export and help match supply and demand, mobilize resources, and with the aid of technology, benefit more businesses and provide a greater experience online, so as to hold a special event under special circumstances. The Commerce Ministry will hold a special briefing tomorrow. Perhaps you can get more information from there. Any other questions?
Question from the AOP. The Taiwan government
法新社
Chinese fighter jets that flew near southwest Taiwan today.
台湾方面表示警告驱离了中方在 Could you repeat your question, please?
The Taiwan government said it was one of Chinese fighters that flew near southwest Taiwan.
有中方的战斗机在 岛的附近飞行被台湾方面驱离。I haven't heard of that. I will need to get some more information. Anything else? So that's all for today. Thank you.